and welcome to That's Girl Speaks. Today is Tuesday, June 24th. Happy summer! Happy summer! Summer solstice. And this is episode 173. Hi. How are you? My name is Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. I'm totally checking out my hair a lot because this is my new fabulous, I love to wear my hair with this stupid headband thing, but I'm realizing that maybe it doesn't relate that well in real life. Maybe it's only me. Of course, I've been wearing my hair like this for a good solid 2 weeks, but you don't ever see yourself from so many angles as when you're recording a video podcast. Oh, I think that just made it worse. We're just gonna go with it. Just gonna go with it. Anyway. Further apologies. I have a lot of like a mucus situation happening. Yay, Indiana and all of its pollens. The cost of living is low, but the pollen count is high. Ta-da! That's on our t-shirt. Should be. You will pay one way or the other. So I do apologize. We have like a lot of like, but the show must go on and whatnots. Okay. This week's episode, oh my gosh, I have so much to talk about. It's pretty ridiculous. I may actually split this week's episode into 2 episodes, or like an episode and then like a bonus episode. I'm thinking that's what I might do. Because it's ridiculous. Okay. Yep. But this week's episode will contain administrati. It will contain spinning and knitting. Amongst that knitting, there will be not a book review, but a book talk about. That's administrati. That's that. There will be, maybe before I do administrati, maybe before knitting and spinning, I will talk about my tonic. So it'll be like the Fat Squirrel's Health Corner. Ding! That's appropriate, right? It's all about being healthy. Hack. That's nice. I'm classy that way. And then it might or might not contain bicycle shenanigans. So we're just going to see what happens with that. I think that should definitely be an episode. We're just going to make that every episode. I'm going to say it right now. Expect that to come out maybe next Tuesday or something. So let's get into it. Whoa. So let's start with, okay, since I'm doing the bicycle thing, I guess I can just do it in the regular order. So let's do administrati. I want to apologize right up front for doing the podcast. The prize drawing for our benevolent benefactors at the beginning of last week's episode. I won't do that again. I had no idea that would actually take like 12 minutes. One of the reasons I don't like to give out prizes is because I don't like to watch prizes being given out. Now, that does not mean that I don't enjoy that people are getting prizes, because I really do. I am so excited for when people get prizes. Hi, that's awesome. But I try not to do prizes. And again, I just thought, oh, it's like once every other month. It'll just take a few minutes. It was still 12 minutes. And when I had to rewatch it to like figure out when the timestamp was going to be, I literally was like, oh my God, so boring. And I was even invested in the process. So I want to apologize upfront for that. In the future, I will put it at the tail end of the episodes. That kind of segues into the next topic. Okay, that's like a triple segue that's going to happen right now. So if you donate to the show in June or July, just want to remind you that you will be entered to win what? My Seaman shawl. What? That's designed by the beautiful Stephen West. And that is knit with Knit Picks Alpaca Cloud. So that is one prize I will be giving away. That'll be the first podcast that I do in August. I will do that at the end of the podcast. Don't worry. And the second prize, which I had not shown you yet because I made 2 of these bags and gifted one to a lovely other human. So I didn't want to, not that she watches the show even, but I didn't want the universe to know, because I didn't want the universe to secretly whisper in her ear, because she's kind of in the universe's like direct line numbers, I think. So this is the second prize. I made you this beautiful rights. So How to Catch a Frog. Remember I was talking about just that the other day? So this is the same design. This is her fabric line. And this one I believe is out of print. So it's extra especial. I could be a total liar though. And it has cute little snails on the inside. And then I trolled to try to find a sock yarn that would work with it. And ultimately, I know this isn't like a direct match, but it's Vesper and her sport weight, which I believe is, yes, all of her fingering weight, basically this whole show is I believe. So I need to stop saying that and just preface the entire episode with I believe all of the following things I'm about to say. I'm not intentionally lying to you at any time. But Knitterly Things, who does Vesper sock yarn, her fingering weight, I think, is all superwash, like no nylon. But this is her sport weight, and it is a 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and I believe it's merino of her fingering weight, but I'm not sure. Oh my gosh, why can I not stop saying it? I can't. I'm not going to be able to. And this is the colorway Happy, so I thought it would work. It's not directly matchy-matchy, but I think it works. And it's 430 yards of self-striping. Did I say that? I'm not sure if I did, but hi. So that's prize number 2. And you can win one of those prizes by being a benevolent benefactor of our show. It's true. You can donate $1 or any amount above $1. Doesn't matter. I'm happy with any showing of support is extremely appreciated. And you can do that at thefatsquirrel.com if you are on a regular computery type thing. You will see a yellow PayPal donate button to the right, like just shortly after you see it, like under the bannery stuff. If you're on a mobile device, if you scroll to the bottom, you will see the same donate now button. And that takes us to the third point of Ammidrastrati. Oh my gosh, I'm totally gonna talk about knitting and spinning in just a minute, I swear. And it's a lot of stuff too, so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, hang on. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that in August, I will be moving to the Patreon website as my funding source rather than trying to do it just exclusively through PayPal. And there's actually quite a few reasons. I had heard about Patreon originally but didn't know how it would work with it. The thought of like creating exclusive content, more importantly, not creating the exclusive content, because oh my gosh, I could make up some crazy stuff. But like we could just cook together. Wouldn't that be fun? But I was like, where do I put that? Anyway, it totally freaked me out, right? I have slight mental issues. My brain is like a hot mess. So I was originally very intimidated by the whole thing, but now I've talked to some people who are using it, and I think it could work better for the podcast because the way I have done it all like piecemeal slapdash, I was not prepared for some of the administrative issues that have occurred. And just in terms of like being able to contact people with thank yous, for example, people who very kindly and generously and beautifully have signed up to donate like every month through a recurring donation. It shows up as a recurring payment. It's very hard for me to search. I can get them when I pull like a special report when I do the prizes, but that report usually takes a full 24 hours to generate from PayPal. So it's not something I could easily access to send like thank you notes. And so it's just been like, so I'm getting this and I'm so appreciative, but I feel really awful because I don't know how to easily and efficiently acknowledge those in a prompt way at all. So I'm hoping that it will streamline that process so that you can know that I know that you're appreciative of the show, and then we could be all syncing up and whatnots. Also, it will help with the amount of fee processing that PayPal is able to extrude from that process. I am in no way upset with PayPal because they make my life amazingly easy, but it will lessen the amount of administrative fees that are happening with that. And there was something else. There was another reason. Oh, and then it kind of goes back. I don't know what'll happen. Like, it's an unknown territory, right? but there's the possibility that it could give me a little bit more time to focus on the podcast, and that would be amazing. And so that we could do maybe some more, not just like the knitting content would always be here, but it might help me to do more things like Fat Girl on a Bike episodes. You know, we could go on a bike ride together, or like let's make Meatless Monday together, or you know, just stuff like that, like silly fun stuff that I would really like to do, but that for the sanity of myself and my other workflow that actually generates income for our household, that I can't quite in good conscience take the time from these and then put and then there, so it might help with that process. So look for that tab in August. In the meantime, the prizes will continue as stated. Actually, also, what I should do, remind yourself to do this, you. I'm going to put a thread up in the Ravelry group. And if you would like to see anything that happened, like any sort of gift, like, you know, we could do prize. I'll probably continue to do prizes, like some hand-spun prizes occasionally, and maybe a finished object prize occasionally. Just because at this point, like, I'm knitting a lot of stuff that I don't in any way need. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still putting lots of joy into it and having fun. But it's like to keep the podcast flowing. And so I don't need all those objects. And quite frankly, my family, while they would happily accept all these objects, they don't need them either. So, so I would happily continue to do that process. I think it's fun. And it makes sense. But anyway, but that's to say that the June and July donations for prizes will continue as are scheduled. But I anticipate that Patreon will just continue in the same vein, but maybe offer some additional content opportunities. We'll see. So if there's anything you would like to see in the way of incentives or additional content opportunities, things you would like me here to talk about, then we can do that. We can do things like tutorials and stuff. Well, not really tutorials, because that sounds way too formal for me. Hi, I'm not wearing a bra. But I'm always going to be me. But like maybe, I wrote something down that was like not, like just my take on certain things. Like, this is how I do this. Because again, if you're on Instagram or anything like that, where we sometimes get in a run of like people doing this is how I knit videos, I think those are endlessly fascinating and I love them. So just maybe some stuff like that, like how I brioche. Okay. But it might also be like how I make my weird tonic, which is I'm going to tell you in a minute, so it's not a big deal, but you know what I mean. Okay. So those are the things. Okay, I think that's all the things I need to talk about in Administrati. Now let's talk about shenanigans. Shenanigans! As I mentioned earlier, June, it's just summer in the northern hemisphere, is in full swing. It's hot. It's not terrible. I mean, I know people in Arizona are like, shushy. People in Southern California are probably like, shushy. Actually, I don't know that, but I don't watch Weather Channel. But I'm sure anybody south of me is like, shish. But it's still hot here, even if it's hot where you are too. We're not used to that business. And we're used to being hot, but not your business hot. Just our business hot. So it's like in the 90s and it's humid. 90 degrees Fahrenheit, okay. So this ties in with the thing I'm going to talk about next, which is part of shenanigans. So part of summer that I dread is a lot of the sweating, but that's not what I'm talking about. Is that for like, it's really mostly just for a few weeks right in the transition from spring to summer. Like the first few days it gets above like 85 or something, my body decides that we're definitely entering a desert water shortage situation. My body is like, yes, this is definitely happening. It is the Armageddon of water. The aquifers are definitely all empty now. Oh my gosh, I worry about that so much, but whatever. The ancient aquifers. But that's what my body thinks. Like my head thinks that, but my head's not telling my body that. My body's just independently like, oh my gosh, the water source is over. So my body's like, hey, let's hold on to every molecule of water that this lady takes in. We're not going to let her go of any of it. And we're going to put it all in her feet and her ankles and her knees. And it's going to be so fun for us. It is not fun, body. Now, before anybody freaks out, because I am a fat lady, and like everybody thinks your heart's gonna explode or whatever. This is something that my mother has this. I've been chested. My heart is fine. It does not mean I have like congestive heart failure or anything crazy like that. Just means my body, hi, look at all this fat that I got. I'm prepared for some bad shit to happen. Oh, sorry. But like my body is like, hey, we're not messing around. We're prepared for the end of days. We're gonna hold on to all of the food and all of the water. I'm a camel. So before anybody gets the word nervous, I'm okay. This is just something that happens to me. So I mentioned on Instagram that I was making this thing that I make every spring and sometimes in the summer, like if it's the middle of summer and you're not sleeping as much because it's 9 million degrees and you can't sleep because it's too hot for life and you don't get enough sleep and so your body can't process and get your water off of you like it should. Because at SSK, my feet, and other people agreed, oh, Super Summer Knit Together, that's held in Nashville, Tennessee, that's SSK. My feet swell like crazy, and other people agreed. It's because we're not sleeping enough, also because they feed us a lot of carbohydrates. And that'll make your body hold on to some water too. Whew. But anyway, so this is the thing that I do. Are you ready? It's so complicated. No, it's not. It's not complicated at all. There's a stuff called stinging nettles. You know what stinging nettles are? They're a plant. They're actually a weed. I think we all consider them a weed. Whatever. They're a useful plant. You can buy them in bulk, dried like this. I get mine from Amazon. But I know that there is one store in our city that probably carries them. So like if you have not a wild, no, it's not called Wild Oats anymore. It's like 10 years ago. 15 maybe. If you have like a Whole Foods, I don't think they're gonna have something like this. But we have a place called The Good Earth, which is like our before chain store, crunchy hippie stores were a store. This, you know, it's like our food co-op in town, but it's really hard to get to. But anyway, whatever, I'm just a bad person. Also, I feel intimidated going there. But anyway, these are just by Frontier Botanicals, I think. There are lots of different places sell them, but I bought these on Amazon in bulk. A pound of them, I don't even know, but I feel like it's less than $20. I'm pretty confident that it's less than $20. And then what you do is you just take an ounce of them. Well, this is what I do, as I mentioned earlier. I put an ounce of them in a quart mason jar, and I cover that with boiling water, and I let it sit for 4 to 8 hours, so usually just overnight. And then I use a fine sieve, like a fine mesh strainer. You can use cheesecloth. Don't use like a colander because you're not going to be happy. You can use cheesecloth. I don't know if you could, maybe, nah, you could have to use a really open weave tea towel. Well, you know what I mean. And then you just, like what I do is I just take another jar, put the like the canning. Do you have one of those like a canning funnel that fits right in there? I put the metal sieve on top of that and it's actually pretty stable. And then I just pour the stuff in, sieves out, smush. Because you got all this plant mass in the sieve. Just smash it down to get all the liquid out that you can. Put that in your compost. You can just throw it out the back door, whatever. Not judging. You can put it in the trash can, but it will not hurt the world if you put it back into the world. So much talking. And so you get something that looks like this one. This is less than a full batch. You get this exciting looking stuff, right? It totally, you can't see it. It's like a dark, dark green. I think Bella Socks is Bella. No, Bella, it was not Bella Socks. Somebody on Instagram referred to it as swamp water. That is exactly what it looks like. I may have said on Instagram that it tastes like the armpits of woodland trolls. Since then, I have reconsidered that statement. Because it doesn't taste in any way foul. Do you know what I mean? Like there are some things you're just like there's something about them that is slightly evil tasting. You know what I mean? Like they're not of plants, they're not of natural things, and they're bad, like medicine-y things. It does not taste bad in that way. But it tastes like when you open this stuff, this bag of stuff, and you smell it, that's exactly what this tea is going to taste like. Exactly. Now you can make it a weaker tea. Like you could just use this like a loose leaf tea. And I feel like Sarah Pomegranate and maybe somebody else did it. Oh my gosh. Was it the rabbit keeping midwife? Was it you? I think it was you, but I don't know your Instagram name. I'm sorry. Maybe you don't want me to know. But anyway, thank you. She and Sarah Sarah Pomegranate, who's the Yarns at Yin Who podcast, recommend using like licorice or mint, something that has a relatively strong flavor, to make a tea. I don't mess around with that because I need it in tincture, like tonic strength. I think if I made it a tea, like a loose leaf tea, I would have to drink like 7 gallons of it. But when I make it like this, I drink 6 ounces. So this is actually what's left. This jar usually makes 3 6-ounce-ish servings. And then so that doesn't taste, it tastes bad, okay? But like bad is not the right word because that implies like mull, like ooh, like something not right. But it tastes like the grassiest, dried grassiest, like it doesn't taste like the armpits of woodland trolls, but maybe it kind of tastes like the armpits of like a vegan troll. Is that less offensive? It's less offensive, right? So like it doesn't taste like anything rotted or like dead, like in an animal way, like, or it's not like ugh, nasty. It's just like that's very earthy. Do you know what I mean? Like you thought beets were earthy. Like wait for this. That's what it tastes like. Anyway, I drink 6 ounces of this until like usually the next day. Not always, but oftentimes the next day, my feet will totally be normal human size again. And then I usually do this for about a month. My herbalist-y friend recommends drinking this not just for the weird smelling thing, because it is a natural diuretic, but also for any sort of menstrual issues. It's recommended sometimes for allergy issues. Clearly I'm not having success with that part of it, but anyway, there are lots of other, like you can Google stinging nettle like uses and you will find a bunch of them. But I just use it for my giant fat swollen feet and it helps. Also, it is true that when your feet are swollen, well, I don't know that's true. They say when your feet are swollen that means you're carrying a lot of water in other parts of your body, like around your heart and around your organs, and that makes it very much more difficult for them to operate correctly. So it is not something to just take lightly if your feet are swollen. Like you should try to do something about it. And one great way to do it is to drink some of this crazy stuff. You will feel very self-righteous. You'll be like, I'm doing something so earthy for my body. And also you'll like totally freak out your whole family because they'll be like, oh my gosh, what is that in the refrigerator? Which is kind of fun. And then what are some other reasons that you should do it? I don't know. It will also make you drink a bunch of water because it just kind of like you feel like your mouth was like kind of like shriveled and not shriveled. That sounds terrible. It's not that bad, but you feel thirsty after you drink it. So it doesn't taste pleasant, but just take it like it's medicine. Like I can usually drink this in 2 drinks. I just do the because you don't want to breathe with this in your mouth. Oxygenation, like oxygen, it's like a wine, like, right? You're supposed to take oxygen in with the wine so you can taste it better. Don't do that. Drink this as cold as you can get it, and don't let oxygen into your mouth with it because it'll make it taste even more earthy. Okay? Did I scare you enough? It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's kind of rough, but it's not that bad. I mean, it sounds so terrible. You're all gonna be like, I told my mom about it at one point last year, and she really was like, I'll just keep taking the water pill my doctor gives me. This is natural. I apologize. Somebody asked if I've tried to take it in pill form and had no success. Do it the real way. Anyway, so that's my Fat Squirrel Health Corner. Hack. So then what else happened in shenanigans? Oh my gosh, the bicycle stuff, but I'll make that a different episode. In short, my daughter learned to ride her bike and I relearned to ride a bike. My own bike, which I bought. And so we rode them and we did some riding of bicycles. It was very exciting and I hope to talk about that in a later episode. Because it will also have not just about bicycles, because I don't know enough about bicycles to talk about them for more than like 7 minutes. But it will also have some like fat lady things that I talk about. So if you're not interested, that's why I'm going to make it a different episode. Ta-da! Watch out for you. So, but then also in shenanigans, what else happened? Laura and Leslie of Super Summer Knit Together, of Knit Girls, of the eventual Portland Knit Together, whatever it's going to be. Craziness. They're so fancy. Came to visit Joanna Spring, and I got to go hang out with them. That was fun. And I took my kiddo, and she and lovely You Don't Call Me Les's son like chased chickens around Joanna's farm. Joanna, I'm sorry. Really, just send me a bill. Oh, so they probably had some like bonding of like our parents are so weird, which is exciting for them. She didn't share that with me, but I imagine that had to happen. But maybe not. That's probably me being very narcissistic and thinking people talk about me when they don't, because they probably didn't at all. They just wanted to chase some chickens. But anyway, Joanna's farm is gorgeous. She has 1,000,000 baby animals. It's crazy. It is like the zoo babies of Joanna's farm. It's insane. She's 1,000,000 baby animals, and they're all so schnoogly. I got to hold a lamb. There's no pictures of that because I could not hold the lamb and try to take a picture at the same time. I wish I could have. I need to have a GoPro like at all times. But I got to totally hold the lamb. It was so squishy. And then her garden is beautiful. I mean, her market garden, not just like a regular garden. It is gorgeous. So, oh, I'm so excited. And I got to see her apples. Oh my gosh, she showed me her apples. I got to eat a cherry off her tree. It was amazing. So if you're not watching Knit Spin Farm, hi. Go do that. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so then let's maybe get into, let's talk about knitting and spinning. If it's only been like 30 minutes, maybe we should talk about things about. Maybe. I don't know. What do you think? I did finish some spinning this week. Oh, I forgot to bring the ball band over. Oh well. I finished this. This is organic Pullworth from Phoenix Fibers. She's a dyer, I believe out of Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. And I saw her at the the Wool Gathering in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And so I made this. This is 8 ounces. Did I say it's organic Pullworth? I did, right? But I apologize. I don't know what the colorway name is. It's over there. So it is super squishy. I think it's about, I've measured this, or I did it's 230 circles, and I'm pretty sure it's probably about a yard, about 2 yards in circumference, but I'm not sure. So it's less, it's going to be less than 480 yards. So it's probably about 450 yards. Maybe 440. I don't. I'm so sorry for that break. The dogs decided to bark or something. It's like 450-ish yards. Ballparking, whatever. And it's very squishy. It is actually quite squishy. Yay! So that. And then I have started, but not in any way. I have maybe I've spun an ounce, if I'm lucky. I started some Hello Yarn fiber, and I believe it is also Pullworth. But you know what? Now that I'm saying that, I'm not entirely sure. If you can't tell what I'm doing, I'm trying to wind up the skein, but this loop is closed. This is a dumb way I put the tag on. Whatever. I'm a hot mess. Okay. Oh, that's terrible. It's not nearly spun tight enough. But anyway. Yes, it is also Pullworth. And it is called Bedtime Stories. So that's what it looks like. So I'm spinning what should be like a sleeveless sweater quantity. And it is, of course, lovely to work with. Beautiful and shining. Like all Hello Yarn stuff is. Okay? Okay. That's all I'm saying. So that's spinning, knitting. I don't know if I'll remember to put it here, but I'll try. If I remember to put it in, those are a picture of my Lollipop Yarns Beefcake base. So that's her sport weight base, which is a superwash merino nylon blend in the Cabin Fever colorway. So I finished those socks this weekend. Again, I hope that I can remember to put the picture in. But if I didn't, they're just plain old stripy socks. Of course, her stuff is always beautiful. Lollipop yarn. It is impossible to get, but sometimes I do have ninja-iness, although not always. Okay. I totally took a picture of them. I thought maybe I'll just show you, but it's not even up here. What is up with the world? Anyway, so I finished those. And then I also finished this, but I forgot that I finished it, so I didn't even block it or weave in ends. I'm telling you, the bicycling took up some extreme mental space the last 3 weeks. It also took up some butt pain space, but we'll talk about that later. So I finished my Gleam shawl, and this is knit with Miss Babs Yowza. The colorway and the designer name are going to be in the show notes because, again, I just, as I was getting something else out, remembered that I finished it because it was underneath my project bag. But so I'll try to get that blocked and show you again next week before it goes off to its intended owner. But yeah, it was really fun. Of course, you can see this is knit from the center down. You can see those then actually the pattern itself, if I'm not mistaken, does not have this bottom. I'm going to try to stretch it and see if I don't break everything. Okay, so you see that there's like the drop stitch row, like right there. If I'm not mistaken, the pattern actually ends after that drop stitch row. But with the Miss Babs Yowza, I had still yarn, so I thought, well, I'm just going to do some more garter, because also I was afraid, for me, having that drop stitch row right on the edge, I felt would make it be much easier to catch on things. I don't know that it is, but in my brain it was, and that's what matters, right? It's all about your own perceptions. So I decided to go ahead and give it some extra garter stitch. And let me just discuss those last rows. So long. Even though this is a DK weight shawl, it was like, whoa, a billion years. But I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I think it'll be even better once it's blocked because, again, those drop stitch rows are going to show up better. It's a great pattern for fingering weight yarn. Again, especially the Miss Babs Yowza, because it's hard to resist those skeins when you see them because they're so squishy, but I mean, again, all the beautiful Susan B. Anderson shawls that are made with them, but you do need something relatively basic because they are crazy colors. I apologize. So that's done. I'll try it again. Try to get that ready for you for next weekend. The next thing I started was On the Spice Market by Melanie Berg. Oh, here we go. Here's the picture. I'm sorry, the picture has writing on the back of the page, so it kind of makes it less exciting. And the reason I started knitting this is, well, I think somebody had made it on Instagram and it was gorgeous. By the way, if you're not on Instagram and you have access to it, just do it. Just bite the bullet and do it. It's amazing. So much good stuff going on in the world. Even though there's so much bad. But here's mine so far. And the reason I was inspired to start it is I've had this polydactyl set from Miss Babs forever. Okay, not forever, but I feel like this is at least the second year I've owned it. Because I got it originally, I got it originally for the, that Martina Bem cowl thing that I talked myself out of making. So I've had these, and they're pretty generous size, right? They're Miss Babs, excuse me, Yummy Toes. They're 100% just 100% merino, and they're 133 yards, so there's good yardage on them. And again, you get 7 in a set. This only requires 6 and a main color. But so I had this set, and I've been like, what am I going to do with that? So luckily, I also had some Madeline Tosh in the Turn colorway, I'm pretty sure. And so I thought, oh, that'll work because it's kind of like this color, right? So I cheated and just subbed this in. So that'll be my main color. And here it is so far. I haven't worked on it a ton yet, not because it is pretty fun. Not because it's not super fun, but because I've been working a lot on the next thing I'm going to show you, which has been even more fun. So there it is so far, tiny wee shawl. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden I'm so hungry. It's 1:15 and I wasn't hungry at all, and then suddenly my belly was like, give me food! What's going on? So anyway, yay that! It's very fun. Oh, I'm knitting that on US 3s, I think. I need readers. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. Oh no, US 2s, 2.75 millimeters. Did I tell you that when I went to the optometrist last time? They said that this is the last year I can go without having bifocals. I should have gone ahead and got them. She shocked me. I just wasn't prepared mentally to have to need bifocals. Oh, the vanity. So the next thing, which is the last knitting thing I have to show you, and then I'll do some shameless self-promotion, and I think that's all, right? Sorry. So the last thing I have to show you, so crazy. I needed a brioche project. So this is actually a car seat blanket for a friend. This is so silly. It's Miss Babs Yowza in the French Marigold colorway. And then some hand spun that I made using Superwash Targhee from Moon Rover. This is the Crunching Leaves colorway. So I did not have very much Superwash hand spun. Like I just don't. Like I don't have that much Superwash fiber even in enough quantity. I knew I needed at least 8 ounces. So I wouldn't normally be sassy enough to make a baby blanket with this bright orange, but whatever. I'm really enjoying it. So my hand spun is finer than a DK. Well, this Miss Babs is supposed to be like a light worsted, I think. But my hand spun is more like a sport, and maybe even a light sport at that. But the great thing about brioche is it doesn't really matter. You kind of knit to the gauge that just works for you, and then it just goes right along. So, yeah, right? So this is not a pattern. That's the reason I did not tell you the pattern name. This is actually supposed to be the right side, because I was afraid that the hand spun side was just too crazy pants. And this is taken from, this is a pattern, stitch pattern, taken from Knitting Fresh Brioche, which is by Nancy Marchant. I highly recommend this book, especially if you're starting to get into brioche. You know, I have lots of stitch dictionaries, but I don't have anything about brioche, like, at all. So this not only has several projects and patterns for said project, like things like this and things like this, which look great. So it has several, in fact, it has quite a few. It says 75 unique stitches and 12 stunning wraps and skirts. So it has 12 actual finished object patterns. But the thing that was most interesting to me was the 75 unique stitches, because I just had no idea what to do. So I knew I wanted to do something brioche because it's super fun. And it's more entertaining than just knitting with one color. But it also has the benefit of you can use 2 different weight yarns, and I knew that I wanted to use that hand spun, and I could not find a yarn that would work with it except the Miss Babs Yowza. I mean, I'm sure if I had gone to a giant yarn store I could find something, but just trying to find stuff online, I couldn't find anything that I really liked with it. And again, also a few stores in the area, but so I needed something that would accommodate that. So originally I thought, okay, I'll do it like a center out. And so I cast that on and started it. You would do the increase, because it's in brioche, you don't just increase by 1, you increase by 2, because you need to keep your knit 1 purl 1, essentially. Your knit 1 purl 1 patterning. You don't have to, but it makes much more sense to do it that way. I mean, almost have to. So I was just going to do like square, starting in the middle and going out, and then just increasing, you know, 1 3-stitch increase per corner. And so I started that, and I just did not care for it. I did not like the way it looked. And I was like, no, I need something jazzier. So that's when I went to this book. And it has lots and lots and lots, anywhere from very basic, man, it also has lots of great instructions. Like, if you need to know how to do a specific decrease, like by the way, if you're getting into brioche, I apologize. The terminology is redonkulous. Like, I didn't invent it. I don't know anybody to apologize, but I'm an advocate of it, and it is terrifying looking. Like, the decrease, which is the super, is not a difficult decrease to do at all. It's called a BRRSLDEC. It's just a brioche right-leaning decrease. But when you see all those letters together, you're like, you know what I mean? It's like the first time. It's like when non-knitters get knitting patterns for the first time and they're like, oh my gosh, how do you even read that? It's like that, but you were already a knitter, so you're just like, what is this about? But it has lots of great pictures and tutorial-y things for how to do said decreases and increases. And how to weave in ends in brioche. Oh, I didn't even look at that. That's probably something I should look at one day. That's kind of what I did. Anyway, it has a section on repairing mistakes, which is kind of the hardest thing about the brioche. I've gotten to the place now where I'm pretty good at repairing mistakes. There's one place that you can totally tell I made a mistake. But overall, I've gotten better at repairing them. But sometimes I will just, in regular knitting, I never rip back. But I did rip back like 5 rows on this one because I dropped like a triple increase and was like, I can't even make my brain figure out how to do that right. I think I could do it by now, but you know, just was tired. Couldn't do it. So that's the most, to me, that was definitely, is and continues to be the most difficult thing about the brioche. But that said, it has everything from relatively basic things like doing large goals. The nice thing about this specific pattern is that it was written, not all of them are written and charted. Actually, I think they are all written and charted. It's written and charted. That's the other thing that's kind of intimidating about brioche, is that the charts look ridiculous because it's really just the brioche stitch that you know how, like, it's just like a fancy version of Knit One Purl One, essentially. Okay, that's an oversimplification, but that's kind of what it is. But when it's charted, every single stitch is charted. So it's not like knitting and like a stockinette where you just have all blank stitches and you know that that's stockinette. It looks like this, or it's just every single stitch. So that can be intimidating when you look at it. And in fact, when I chose mine, I was like, what? I knew that it wasn't difficult because it's just one stitch, like it's just moving like this, and you just do it through increases and decreases. But looking at the chart, I was like, actually, I guess they are all written and charted. So if you don't like to try to do those, you can do that. But this is the stitch pattern I chose, which is the undulating hourglass. I will actually probably technically be reoriented like this in terms of how much yarn I have, but so that's all I'm doing. I cast on using a I-cord cast on, and I'm doing I-cord up the sides. I don't love how the I-cord joins to the knitting, but I could not think of another good solution to the edging situation. So depending on after I block it, if I don't like that, if it still looks too open to me, I could always take and go along the back and just kind of single crochet that last, like just kind of tighten them up, basically. Single crochet them together or something. I haven't decided. I could like run an I-cord through there. I don't know. Hopefully it'll block out and be perfect. I don't have to worry about it. Hopefully it'll equally, hopefully, not quite equally, but somewhat less hopefully, it will block out and be like, yeah, that's okay. But I do have concepts of how I could deal with it if I need to. That is to say, oh my god, it's so fun to make. It is super fun. And I could have just left a raw, like I could have just left the edging, because most of those in the book, the patterns, most if not all of them, just have the natural edging, but I felt like I needed a little something as a blanket. That's right. It's so crazy, fans. But the great thing about brioche is it's super squishy, which I thought would make it fun for a blanket. And hopefully with it being kind of a double stranding, it can be warmer without having to be so dense. That's one thing I don't like about trying to make blankets, is I feel like you have to make them really dense, especially if you're trying to make them with superwash, because it has less, you know. Anyway, superwash is less warm in my head. That's what I'm going with. So to make a blanket with superwash is even more challenging. Whatever. This is my solution, and I'm happy about it. Okay. That's all I need to say, but I'm so excited. So that's the reason I haven't worked too much on my shawl. I think I actually cast the shawl on before I started this. I definitely did, because I don't even know that I would have cast it on. So I'd be like, I'll just wait. But I'm glad I did, because I really do want to use that material. Oh, one thing I want to talk about this. I don't really think you'll be able to see. But when I started knitting, I did not like how my handspun was looking, because to me it was underplied, and I just don't think you're going to be able to tell. So maybe I'll just tell you the story of why I thought it was underplied. So this bottom, this yellow stripe, is still the original handspun, how it was plied. Will it focus and let you tell? But it didn't look so bad in the yellow, but when I got to the sections where it was barber pulling, like it looked fine in the skein, and even on the, you know, loose, it looked fine to me. This yellow and purple was the original plying. And really, the purple and orange is me replying it with more twist. No, I don't want to say replying it, that's not right. Just adding more twist to the finished yarn. So you can't even tell there. But it was just enough underplied. It was balanced and all that stuff. I feel like it was even slightly going in on itself. But it was just enough that, I don't know if it was, maybe the brioche was exaggerating it, but it was like looking like the plies were like really loose. Like some full stitches, like the plies didn't even look like they were the same yarn. They looked like they were just being held together versus having been plied together. So I was actually to probably about here-ish. Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's not true. I was actually I completed this the next bit. So I was, no, that's not true. I was here. I know, like it really matters to you. What I'm saying is I had a big chunk of it done, and I decided to rip it back and reply the yarn because I just wasn't happy with how it was doing. I keep saying reply. Do you know what I mean? I just took the yarn, balled it, or, you know, just re-balled, and then just added more twist to the yarn in the wheel. So it just tightened it up a little bit, and again, you can't even really tell the difference visually at all, but I think it made a difference, even if it was just in my own head. And so, see, it's still not even so, it barely wants to go up on itself, but it made a difference in my head. So that was all to say that if you're looking at your handspun and you're like, why don't I like the way that looks and is knitted on it? One reason might be that it has a little bit too little twist in it, because it can make it look splitty and less excited. Less exciting. Excited. Things. Words. They come from my face. They make sounds. Sometimes you understand them, sometimes you don't. So there's that. And I think, oh my gosh, I think that's all. Right? Okay, let's talk about, the last thing I want to talk about is a shameless self-promotion. So if you're not interested, I'll see you next time. I do have every plan to record again in 2 weeks. The 3 weeks, just, again, summer is crazy. Like, I was riding a bicycle, yo. Not really. I was doing something else, I'm sure, but you know, everybody's home is crazy. So I'm getting ready for Super Summer Knit Together. That will be in 1 month. Ah! So I hope to see you then. Please don't ever usually there's no trouble at Super Summer Knit Together, people saying hello and visiting. But don't ever feel like you can't actually just sit down and visit, because that's, maybe that's intimidating. Please feel free to do that. You are, I enjoy everybody's company. And if I don't enjoy your company, I will tell you. But that's never had to really happen yet. So please, you know, but we'll do another episode for then, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. Maybe that was just to be like, that's where I'll be. That's one of the things that's coming up. Oh, that was also to add to the insanity. I'm trying to get rid of that, ready for that vending market, so that's gonna be fun. Then that takes us into shameless self-promotion. I was gonna try to drink my tonic while we're talking, but it's just not gonna happen. Should I do it? Should I do it to show you that I'll actually do it? has been sitting at room temperature for slightly too long. And I have no other water to drink. Anyway, that's to show you it's not really that bad. But that was going into, I'll have an update July 1st. That will be the update I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. And then there will be a very big update on August 5th. When I get ready for something like Super Summer Knit Together, I usually go ahead and make more bags than I think I will need for the market. Just because, like, I know that some people will see the fabrics and want them that didn't get time to retreat. That's always a bummer. So I usually try to have extras that I will either leave here or bring home or whatever. So that's the update schedule in the near future. This update, which will be July 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern, will contain these fabrics. Okay, that was a lot of words. Okay, first I'll show you this. The first one is this, and these are actually all like a cotton linen slub texture. I love that fabric so much. I love that texture. So there's this one. So doesn't it look like it's like Frida Kahlo's the garden adjacent to her tea room or something? Just beautiful and light, summery. Oh, it's so pretty. And then, so that one will only be available in the sweater size. And then I have these two coordinate, like, well, fabrics that are in the colorways. Same print, different colorways. Right? And then I thought this totally looked like it was Frida Kahlo's like swimming pool. Okay, I know that swimming pools and they're like tiled. They don't, but in my head, this is what Frida Kahlo would paint her swimming pool like. Except she wouldn't, because it would be way more awesome than this. But okay, she had to farm out the painting of her swimming pool to an underling. They tried their best to please her in a traditional pattern. So this pattern will be available in both sweater size, which you're seeing here, and large wedge, as will this one. So there's like a bluish colorway, and then this rose quartz colorway with lots more green in it. So great summery bags for all your summery knitting projects. So again, sweater size for both of these. All three of these are in sweater size, but then these two will be available in large wedge size. And just so I have ones here that this is the one I'm using for my On the Spice Market shawl. So this has a full skein and 7 mini skeins in it. And then this is the sweater size. And it has my baby blanket project in it, which is like 2 8-ounce skeins essentially. So it's like 4 full skeins. So the reason I said that is some people are, well, I've been knitting sweaters in the summer. But for example, if you do one of the Stephen West's like his new striped bolting, like 4 skeins. So don't try to squeeze 4 skeins into a sweater or a large wedge. You'll be unhappy. Get a big dude. So that's all. Oh my gosh, right. You have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.